Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to continue with our backtesting session. Now I will admit I am slightly under the weather, but that shouldn't deter us from continuing what we have been doing. So we got as far as the end of Tuesday, so we've got Wednesday before CPI. And we've got one high impact news driver for that day. So we're going to continue forward, and we're going to drop back down to the hourly. Yeah, so we want to. So we did make the point that there was this opportunity at the end of the day, probably for about just shy of maybe two or maybe. But that's neither here or there. We're moving on. So we're going to the next session, which didn't do anything. Lovely. Let's just refresh some stuff. Hopefully. Okay. Right, let's try that again. Go to next session. $6 o'clock. What is actually going on here? Okay, well, let's try again. Go to next session. Okay, right. And you know what? We'll go to. Should be 6 a.m. Okay, so want to venture back out to the. Actually, we're going to venture back out to the 4 hour. I'm going to get rid of all of this. For now. Interesting. Okay. Get rid of that. That's that one there. Okay. Take that off. Take that off for now. Okay. So that's the current. That's the current low. Okay. I'm just going to call it the old low daily right now because it's. Oh God, I'm not sure why that keeps doing that, but oh well. this one. Just pop that there for now. Okay, it's fine. So, I mean, actually, no. We don't want to do that. Sorry, we don't want to do that. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Right, let's get the previous day's highs all and previous day's low all situated. And okay. And then in all honesty, this is actually in close proximity, but I suspect that if we were going to go this low, yeah, if we were going to go this low, then the likelihood is we'll take out the previous day's low. Okay, so I want that. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Okay, if there's slightly less talk, like I said, it's just the old throat's a little bit sensitive, but you know. Okay, so in terms of PDAs, I just want to go back out to the daily just to see if anything has changed. Well, yeah, it has. Get rid of that. Oh, we've just got the volume imbalance there. Let's take these out. Probably don't need those for now. Okay, now this candle is of interest. I just want to analyze this candle. Okay. So we could likely go back up into that daily civvy. Okay. That's fine. Excuse me. Okay. So not really a lot to sort of, I'd say, go after. Overlapping PDAs there, which could be extremely interesting. Okay, so daily outlook. See what we can do. So, okay, so IOF. Now we have closed above that aligned SIBI. Therefore, near term, we're looking at high prices. Now, ultimately, I want to be selling the market. But near term, we could well be looking at higher prices. But we don't have as far as I'm concerned, higher time framework. So, for me, IOF, overall, actually, in fact, not overall, let's say relative to the daily time frame, this is to the downside. If we just venture back out to the daily, just to make it abundantly clear, we've had this high time frame displacement. Okay. Which was, following the high time frame displacement, which was initiated by the high time frame correlation at the highs, or high time frame. Let's just put high time SMT. Okay, so remember, this is just relative to the daily. Bear with me. Bear with me a second. I just need to Okay, sorry about that. Right, so we're back. So the high time frame displacement, yes, which was initiated to the downside, correct. This high time frame displacement formed from the SIBI daily. Okay. Now on the H4 time frame, IF has on the H4 time frame near term, IOF appears to have switched bullish following the market trading and closing above the aligned SIBI. However, as this was not initiated by high time frame cracking correlation, I suspect we could see price return. Okay. So we drop down to the 4 hour. So I don't see any cracking correlation here. Therefore, I think we could see price return back. So ERL, IRL. So we noticed how the market traded up into the SIBI. We had the high time frame cracking correlation in the form of high time frame SMT. The market confirmed that, so the focus still remains the old low. Hasn't changed yet until we see potentially a cracking correlation at the lows to support the idea of sustained high prices. Okay, but we haven't seen that yet, so it's not something that I'm leaning towards just yet. So I'd want to see, as I say, a cracking correlation at the highs to confirm, following obviously this retracement, that we want to see lower prices. So okay, so okay. So SPs, if we drop down to the 4 hour, I have noted the clean and clear swing points above and below the marketplace, referencing the previous day's low and previous day's high. And where large near-term liquidity pools would be resting. Okay, so any purge of either one of those levels could potentially see a high probability trade. Okay, so TO. So currently, all members are above their respective true week open, supporting the idea of high probability shorts if coupled with an high time frame Kraken correlation at the highs. Okay, simple stuff. Okay, so Kraken correlation. Currently, there is no high time frame framework for, actually, in fact, there's no high time frame Kraken correlation to support a high probability trade idea, which is true. So we've just got to wait. It's sort of as simple as that. We just have to wait and see what the market wants to deliver. Now again, it could just reprice higher and continue higher. Doubt it. If it was going to go higher, then naturally I'd want to see some form of Kraken correlation at the lows. But again, we'll see. Yeah, so I'm looking at that currently as we don't have anything, but we want to see if something changes. So we're going to look at game plans, but before we look at game plans, we again just want to drop down now to the hourly to complete. Probably need to get rid of some of this stuff. Hold on. Guess some of it can stay. Okay, so okay. So we've got the Asia low here, which I do want to mark up. But also at the same time we are in close proximity to so I like the idea of this. Okay. And finally this one here. Okay. So we have seen a displacement higher, then we obviously have this displacement as well. Again, there's no higher time frame framework, so I would still be looking at some form of purge down here. Alternatively, I want to see some form of purge up here. Now, if I just venture back out to the daily, these levels, but again, we've got a lot of gaps there, so we can be relatively comfortable. So in terms of game plan, hold on. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so game plan 1. With price being above the true week open, I would like to see a continuation to the previous day's high, where I note a high time frame cracking correlation which could support a trade idea lower. Okay, so that'd be 1. And 2 is essentially the opposite, in the opposite direction. So where the market will trade to the lows and create a high time frame cracking correlation at the lows Okay, so we've got 2 game plans. I'm not really looking at any others unless, yeah, we would need to have a high time frame structural framework in play before remotely. So my preference is to see lower prices. There's been no high time frame structure supporting this repricing higher, so I'm looking at these relative equal lows as a potential draw. Admittedly, they could become the draw tomorrow for CPI, so we just have to take each thing as it comes. I just wanted to get the news on here, and if there's no trade, as you can probably see from the channel itself, I'm okay with that. Oh dear. Okay. Let me just run the rule one more time. Yeah. Okay. Bear with me, then we'll get started. Well, we've started, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's rock and roll. Okay, so first things first, I've put some. We want to know when equities open is, and I just want to know when the news embargo lifts. You can get some volatility injections at that point in time. Okay. So, with that being said, we've got the 5 minute. Let's get that nice and central. Yeah, so we're on the 15 minutes. So we want to at least get to 8:13. Let's see what happens there. So, move that across. Let's go. Sorry, bear with me. What level are we on? Oh, right, okay. So that'd be 10 o'clock. Okay, fine. Okay, so we are. Just gonna drop back out. Yeah. Okay. So NQ's looking way more likely to purge both its highs, but let's drop down. We won't be doing anything to at least equities open, if there is anything at all to do. Why? Because there's no news prior to equities open, therefore we'll wait for the volatility injection. Sorry, so therefore we'll wait for the volatility injection at equities open. So let's continue. Monitoring. I just want to, sorry, just bring that across. Just monitoring for now. Sorry, I just want to just back to the hourly and see. We've got an hourly. You can see obviously this CB appears to be holding price, which is supporting the idea of the market trading up to this level. If we were looking at that level there, there's certainly SMT there, which could have been used, but it's neither here or there for now. But I am going to mark it because it is an area of accumulation. And it's aligned. So we want that. Just want to make sure it is aligned, which it is. Okay. But again, there was no higher time frame structure, so therefore this for me is not a move at all to take. But let's see as we approach equities open. So we're at equities open now. As far as I'm concerned, there is still nothing for us to do. So we want to see previous day's high or low purged. NQ's getting a little bit closer. And a bit, okay. So NQ has traded up into there. Now, mark this off. Let's just do two. Depends on the time as well. We are technically, so if we look at how time has gone, we are technically at the end of the trade and execution window. Now, it's not a, you know, okay. So I want to mark that up there. This is currently is not a trade idea yet. We're still evaluating it on its merits. I would want to see a deeper run, if I'm being honest. So I'm just going to drop down to the 5 minute. 5 minutes not showing any imbalances at all. So as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing yet to do. I'm going to drop this down to the 1 minute. We are, as I said, on the, could well be a PM session trade. So again, despite the fact that we've closed below here on both, that's a good sign in terms of lower prices. Now I just want to go back out to the hourly. So just grab this. Okay, just give me a mojo. Sorry about that. It's cold in this house. Okay, so I just want to go back to the 15-minute now and let me just clean this up. Now this may not hold, although it has traded below. That's the hourly. If you just want to see, that's the hourly level. But as far as I'm concerned, there's no M5 structure yet. Possibly here, if we see price trade below that, but then if we look on the M15, not really anything. By which time you'd want to see an M15 do something. So let's continue on the M5. We are outside, as I say, the trade execution window, so it does reduce the probability of me taking a setup. A deeper run above that high. So as you can see right now, this isn't set up territory as far as I'm concerned. So now ES has now purged this high, and it looks as though YM is about to do the same thing. So already now this is low probability conditions for me. I'm not looking for a trade at all. We're likely going to see higher prices, and we'll have to see what happens at this key price level up here as price trades up towards the 2-month open. So for me, there's no trade. I've gone up to lunchtime. Not going to continue that much more. But I think one of the key takeaways here is notice how I was not in a rush to engage the market just because price traded above the previous day's high and then we had to close below this bullish high probability order block. There were some other confluences that I needed to see before I was willing to engage the market, one of which was displacement, which there wasn't any. And if we look at the M5, there's no displacement lower, suggesting that we remotely want to trade lower. So there's no trade. So there's no trade for me. So that's telling me that no, we're likely going to continue higher. Now the question will be around, does the we can go into this. Does the daily fair value gap hold? Now this in itself will create opportunity. So the first level, if you will, at this junction is this candle here, which is obviously in relation to the previous day's high, which I suspect that all will trade above. So one. So the next level potentially is the other previous day's high, and here is where I'll ultimately be monitoring as well. So I just want to make sure that is yeah, it's fine. Okay, so that's where my attention will be drawn to. So first, obviously we've traded above here. Could still reject, but I'm anticipating YM to also trade above it. It's fine. Then we'll look at this previous day's high here and see what we have still within the realms. Now, one of the things to bear in mind just before we go is where are we in relation to discount? Premium. And as we can see, NQ is still within a discount. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to trade into a premium, but more likely it's going to do so. And if we look at so that would suggest to me that certainly this imbalance here is a key inflection point. That's what we want to be focusing on NQ potentially. So that's what I'll be looking at next. But for the purpose of this session, we're at the end. Fortunately, there was nothing that we could take in the morning. Part 2, we will look at the PM session and bear with me. We can get rid of that. Let's just clean this up whilst we're here. Go to the hourly. We can get rid of that as well. Not needed. We will look at the PM session, and then potentially on to then we have CPI, so we might just run through the CPI price action and then potentially pick it up on Friday. Maybe we'll have a look at Friday. Not a day that I like to trade, but we'll have a look at Friday as well, because you never know, it might set up something. So hopefully you found something useful here. Again, the key takeaway as far as I'm concerned that people should take away is how I determined that this was not a high probability setup, why I didn't take the trade when we saw the initial purge of the previous day's high on NQ, and ultimately how and why that was correct, and the market ultimately traded higher where ES now purged the high as well. Okay, so hopefully you took something away. Hopefully that was useful. Again, maybe it's something to add. I don't particularly ask a lot in terms of, this backtest session, because ultimately this is about my journey, to showcase me improving as a trader, the things that I look for, but ultimately me improving and me staying accountable to myself through the medium of backtesting in a recorded fashion to yourselves, the public around the world. And like I said, hopefully we can share in dialogue and learn from each other. So with that, that's why sort of subscriptions and likes and stuff like that, it's not really that important to me, if I'm being honest. But if you do enjoy the content and you've taken something away from it, please do just hit the like button. That's all I ask. Just hit the like button. And if you enjoy my content and you want to subscribe to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we can build a community here that focuses and preaches the message about how your development and success can come through journaling, identifying improvement, and that sort of thing. So hopefully you found this one useful, and I'm going to leave it there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.